Welcome to the Power of Integrity podcast, where leadership aligns with principles. I'm Ralph Adamo, your host, and I'm happy to be here with George Prince of Prince Commercial Real Estate Services. George and I are good colleagues and friends for some time. I've had the delight of knowing George over the last decade or so, I believe it has been. And George also has a very interesting background besides commercial real estate, somewhat connected. He also has a winery, and I'm hoping he jumps into and tells a little bit about that as well. George, welcome.
Thank you, Ralph, for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, as customary on this show, I always like for our guests to tell a little bit about their professional and personal journey and what's led them up to today. So would you share a little bit with our audience about that journey along the way and what's brought you to Prince Commercial Real Estate as the president, and what also about that winery and anything else you haven't told me to date?
Sure. Well, I was born here in Southern California, and my father was a doctor. My mother was a teacher, and my uncle was a banker. Uh, we had a ranch up in Kern County where I was a cowboy for many years and went to California State University of Long Beach, where I majored in business administration and focused on finance and real estate. And then fast forward to really where we are about, say, 15, actually about 30 years ago, I started Prince Commercial Real Estate Services and also started a company, Prince Vineyards, about 10 years ago. And Prince Commercial Real Estate Services, full service commercial real estate brokerage company, and specializing in leasing and investment work. On the investment side, it's more in the 1031 exchange area where I'm listing properties in California and then exchanging the proceeds out of state in a nice structured triple net portfolio. On the leasing side, I'm representing office and office and retail and industrial tenants in their relocations, opening up new locations and whatnot. For the vineyard, and a lot of the time we always we go off course a little bit on the vineyard because more people want to hear about the vineyard than my commercial real estate brokerage experience. About 10 years ago, bought a vineyard up in Napa Valley in the St. Helena AVA. We produce 100% Cabernet Sauvignon, single vineyard type of cab, and it is on the hillside, and it's been winning awards, thankfully, and so we're enjoying that as well.
Yes. Well, you're absolutely right. Once I learned about that vineyard and your winery, I was more I'm more attracted to that conversation every time we visit one another. Well, tell me something, George. When you think about integrity, what does that word mean to you?
Oh, well, integrity, the derivation of integrity, the Latin word is integer, which is defined as a whole or complete. So for me, integrity has to be whole or complete honesty, being true to yourself, never cutting corners, really just unwavering honesty. You can't have high integrity. You can't have low integrity. You have to have integrity. So without 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 having integrity integrity without that those type of ingredients, you don't have integrity from my perspective.
No, that's very much like being pregnant. You either are or you're not.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Can you share a moment in your professional life where the principle of integrity played a key role in your decision making?
Oh, that's a good one, Ralph. Thinking back when I first started in real estate, I was doing a lot of work. I was brokering a lot of transactions in Long Beach, California, in an area called Belmont Shore. You may be familiar with that area. And there
Yes.
was a restaurant I remember on just down from Belmont Shore in Naples, and they had called upon a listing that I had. It was a restaurant listing in the area, and they wanted to relocate there. I visited them, looked at their operation, did all the underwriting and numbers, and I found that it would be very expensive for them to relocate not a good business decision. They were making a lot of money. So I recommended to them they stay put, stay right where they are, which they did. And of course, I didn't, earn a commission, but I earned my integrity at that very moment. And my integrity goes way back in time. I always tell people you're either born with it or you're not.
Hmm.
And so that was an early kind of example of how my integrity kind of surfaced in the eyes of a client.
Yeah, and you may not have earned a commission, but you certainly earned their respect.
Correct.
Yeah, that's crucial and that's key because if there's ever another transaction, they'll think favorably of Prince Commercial Real Estate Services and George Prince himself for sure. Yeah. Well, George, when you have a role of leadership over personnel, certainly at the winery and the vineyard, uh, how does integrity play a role with how your leadership style and what you see in terms of both loyalty and productivity from those folks that work for you?
Sure. Well, as I said earlier, integrity is all about honesty. And when you're honest to your employees, your staff, your clients, your service providers, ancillary service providers, you will always get the loyalty of the people you work with. When you have that loyalty, you now have a real powerful operation because they know that they're not going to get hit side on the on the side, or they're not going to get stabbed in the back because you've always demonstrated a super high level of that integrity and loyalty to the operation. So I think that's kind of the key point.
Yeah, and when it comes to because you have a consuming public, it's the clients of your real estate firm, it's the consumers of your vineyard. uh, How do you how has the component of integrity impacted that loyalty and repeatability of your clients and your consuming public for your winery?
Sure. Well, fortunately, we have a really good location for the winery. So the wine speaks for itself, but the wine unfortunately doesn't have a voice. So that voice is me. So when I provide a story on the history of Prince Vineyards and what the wine means to me, and then subsequent to that they have the opportunity to enjoy it, it really resonates. So it's kind of hard to describe, but it's one of those evolutionary developments that always lead back to um, you know the integrity of our operation, and the same goes for our commercial real estate firm.
Yes. So one of the things I like to ask our guests is about the opposite of integrity when they were in a situation and the counterparty in that situation didn't bring full integrity or didn't bring integrity because integrity either exists or it doesn't. Is there an example that you can share with our audience of what transpired in one of those instances?
I can't really put my fingers on an example, but there are people that have the ability to really understand if the person that you're about ready to enter into negotiations with have integrity or not. And so I, through vetting, will ask a variety of questions that will lead to my own conclusion on if this person really is someone I want to do business with. And so if I get any trace elements of lack of honesty, or if there's duplicity in the conversation where they say one thing and then 2 minutes later they say something else, I honestly feel like I can spend my time is better invested in someone that is reflective of the integrity of our company. So I can't really give you a case example. I know obviously thousands of, of examples that people have told me, but I really I really make sure early on that I don't get myself into a situation personally where I wish I had not been involved.
Well, George, you answered a question that was surfacing in the back of my mind, um, which was, how does George Prince decipher or detect when, whether someone is coming to the engagement with integrity or without integrity? You've actually pointed out a few things there, and about listening for duplicity, watching whether folks are doing what they say they're going to do, and how that helps through looking through that lens or those lenses equips you to avoid the potential counterparty and the lack of integrity in that counterparty.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, we only have so many hours every day, every week, every month, every lifetime. And, if you, on a cumulative basis, figured out how many people you worked with that were a complete waste of time based on no integrity. Remember, there's integrity or there's not integrity. It
Yeah.
could be dramatically high. So it's incumbent upon all of us to, and everyone has different ways of identifying those that are honest, that come from a position of integrity. For me, it's kind of intuitive because I know deep within I'm very true to myself of what I expect of myself. And so, and it's a very high threshold. So I expect at the minimum honesty from my client. The second that I don't have that, and the second that I experience something or they're going off on a tangent into, the abyss or down that slippery slope, that's when I have to have a hard conversation with them.
Yeah. Yeah. You never want to have that hard conversation. So we hope that folks enter their engagements with integrity. When you think about when George started out and was young in his profession, and you reflect on that, what are some of the insights for our younger audience that's starting out in their profession or their new business? What are some of the things you would share with them as these are great ingredients to bring into that equation when you're starting out, whether it's your own business or for another company or a nonprofit?
Mm, mm, good question. I alluded to a little bit of it early on, or just moments ago, where you have to be really true to yourself. Never attempt to go down that slippery slope because once you're on that path, you can never get back up to the top of the mountain. Uh, learn, learn at a young age what has been a positive experience for those that are beyond our years, and find out what element of that had to do with integrity, and maybe utilize those characteristics and personality styles, incorporate them into your own persona is my only suggestion. It's like when you for those that ski out there or for any type of sport, you can learn how to ski by yourself and do that wedge down the hill, but you may break a leg. You may break a leg. But if you take ski lessons from the best instructors and you really focus on what their feedback is on how to perfect your skill set in skiing, then you'll be the best skier you can ever be. And that's really how it works in the profession, the business profession. Learn the right way at a young age, and don't waver from that. Do what you feel is in the best interests of those that are around you, and never think about you, as they say in Latin, cui bono, who benefits. If you start talking about things that it's benefiting you only, that will be picked up by the people around you in a nanosecond. So be very giving, caring, and always honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, George, I've come recently to this question. We have been in our community with our clients and our friends of the firm cultivating a notion about bucket list items. I'm wondering for a guy who has a winery, what's one or two things are on your bucket list, or would you form for me now what you would have at your top of your bucket list is one or two items you can share with our audience to inspire them and things that George Prince is thinking about.
Well, I really enjoy traveling. So, I mean, on a personal level, you know, getting over to Russia and walking through the Hermitage Museum and seeing all the Van Gogh art. I enjoy Van Gogh. I enjoy art. So that really has kind of mellowed me out in my commercial real estate profession. I would say that bringing Prince Vineyards up to a new level, and Prince Commercial has pretty much been at a cruising altitude for quite some time, representing these 1031 exchange clients. So we're doing really well there, but really starting to transition more into giving even more and involving myself in charitable organizations. Uh, those are the type of things at my stage of life that are meaningful for me. Quite
Yes.
honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I knew it had to do with travel a bit, and I knew something about wine was going to be in there for sure. Well, George, I've had a delightful time with you today. We're here with George Prince, Prince Commercial Real Estate Services, also Prince Vineyards in St. Helena, California. And George, you're here in Orange County with us. So, our Orange County viewers, if they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, the best way to get in touch with me is to call my office at 949-852-1300, extension 23. That's my direct line at Prince Commercial Real Estate Services. And if you have an interest in some of the best Cabernet Sauvignon in Napa Valley, of course, as I say, just check out our website at princevineyards.com, and we'd be delighted to have you as a new customer.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things I want to mention, because it's not always obvious and other winemakers don't adhere to the same strict like the Paul Masson, which is not at all in the caliber of your wine. Your wine is so far will release no wine before it's time. You might want to talk about that. I'd love you to tell that story a little bit about your Cabernet Sauvignon and how you don't blend in order to make something approachable years earlier than it really should be approachable.
Sure, sure. Well, a lot of people may not know that Cabernet Sauvignon is not necessarily 100% Cabernet Sauvignon grape. A lot of the time, most of the time, it's blended with Pinot Noir or Merlot or various other varietals and grape styles and whatnot. And so, even in Bordeaux, you can't be producing 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. It's not allowed. So you have a lot of Merlot that comes into the Bordeaux wine. For us, we at Prince Vineyards, we want to make sure that the Cabernet grape, that our wine is an homage to the Cabernet grape. And so, because it is 100% Cabernet Sauvignon, it needs to be aged for quite some time to mellow out. If you taste the Cabernet Sauvignon of 2022 or 3 or 4 and it tastes beautiful, a lot of the time it's because it's been mellowed out with Merlot. For us, we are we're releasing our 2018 this year to give you an idea of how long we keep it, aging and aged. So our 2016 to 17 is winning awards, but our 18 is being released. So we just we're in no rush. We're in no rush. That's how we do it.
Yeah, you have integrity to the commitment of that wine and that grape.
Well, thank you, Ralph. You know what? Integrity is applied to every element of what we do, 24 hours a day. So
Yes.
winemaking is no different. Winemaking is no different, and we don't use any type of pesticides or any of that. It's all the way Mother Nature intended to be.
Wonderful. Well, George, it's been a real delight. George Prince of Prince Commercial Real Estate Services and Prince Vineyards. Thank you so much for being on our show today. I really appreciate you, and I'm sure we're going to connect real soon, my friend.
Thank you, Ralph. Look forward to that.
The information presented in this program is provided for informational purposes only. The information is believed to be reliable, but no guarantee of accuracy is made or implied. Expressions of opinions are as of this date and are subject to change without notice. The information in this material is not intended as tax or legal advice. Please consult a legal or tax professional for specific information regarding your individual situation. This information does not constitute a solicitation or an offer to buy or sell any security. Investing involves risks, including possible loss of capital. Ralph Adamo is registered with the securities and are offered through Kovac Securities, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC, 6451 North Federal Highway, Suite 1201, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33308. Telephone number 954-782-4771. Investment advisory services are offered through Kovac Advisors, Inc. Integrity Wealth Management is not affiliated with Kovac Securities, Inc. or Kovac Advisors, Inc.